Warm blessings, Master Shaman PaLichee here. Today I wanted to just give you guys a story, and this is a story about how I became a shaman. I'm often asked this at expos or in front of people when I do presentations. But the story goes like this. So I just want to keep it very simple and very sweet. It was a very long journey since the age of 2. This is since I even know that life exists. Okay. Um, at the age of 2, I was visited by an angel, an apparition, and this was actually in between my sleep. So it was half asleep and half awake state. And I met this huge angel that appeared basically before me in my bedroom. And this is me at 2 years old. Um, she was pretty much, it felt like she was in the, or up against the ceiling, but actually she wasn't in the ceiling because then it looked like it was the universe. It was black all around, and you could see little twinkling stars around her or in the air and just in that energy around her. And it was dark. I looked up and then I realized this is different. This is a phenomenal different experience. And as a kid, I'm just thinking to myself, wow, she's so beautiful. And her outfit was white and it was flowing in the air basically because she was sort of like floating in the air, and there was a very phenomenal feeling about the whole experience, that I could not ever forget that experience, and that has stayed with me all throughout these years. So that's at the age of 2. I had that very phenomenal, very um, different experience that was very good for me. From that point on, I started to actually, and she was speaking English to me at that time, so I didn't even know what English was, knowing my language is Hmong. So she spoke to me in English words. I didn't know what she was saying literally, but I got the gist and I understood what she meant. And she said some very good things to me, but I'm not going to share that today. But very interesting things as well. From that point on, I had a feeling of a melancholic feeling about the world, feeling saddened for the world for some reason. And even to this day, when I think about that experience, I'm happy, but then I'm also sad in regards to people and events that occur around and in the world that we live in. Okay. And so from that point on, I've always had sort of a anxiety feeling inside of me that I never spoke about to my parents. And even then, I don't think I would have. And now I wouldn't, I still, I talk about it now, but I wouldn't express it the way that I probably should have when I was young. And then when I was so at that 2 to 3 years old, I didn't really talk much. And then all throughout middle school, junior high, I'd say middle school to high school, um, wasn't very talkative person. I always kept thoughts to myself. But now it seems like I'm more comfortable in my skin, and ever since becoming a shaman and going over so many obstacles that I had to go through, I feel more confident. I feel that I can say and express who I am and why I'm here. In my journey on becoming a shaman, I did have a lot of illnesses, and these illnesses came and they went, and it was like one day very bad stomach flu or stomach pain, and then I could take some medicine for it, or sometimes I didn't even have medicine for it, and then it would go away the next day as if I'd never had it before, at all. And then there was times that when I would like catch a cold, but then it would be more than a cold, and then it would go on for maybe 3 days, and then it would actually just kind of die down, and then I'm good again. And sometimes people might say, well, or the doctor might actually say, well, that's normal. You're just catching a cold. And I would say, yes, that is normal for catching a cold sometimes. But then if it comes on very often at one certain period of time, but then none at another certain period of time, then it kind of feels awkward, or it kind of feels like it's a different kind of sickness or illness. And some of these illnesses or sicknesses that I'm talking about is something that is unexplainable by a doctor or a physician. If you go there, and they may say, oh, you're just having a cold, but then you feel different about your body. You feel something different there. And so it's a little bit, again, it's up to the person's experience. But from my experience, as I was coming into my shaman, the shaman or the spiritual part of me, energetically, I had to go through so many sicknesses. In my eyes, as a shaman, having the sicknesses is actually purification of the human part of me. So this purification process happened from a long time ago. And I just wanted to tell you guys my experience, so that I know that some of you are going through that and have gone through that, but didn't know. And actually, you think about it as a burden. Becoming a healer might be a burden to you, right? And maybe some of you have actually shut it out of your life completely and gone on to some other belief or faith. But actually, when you think about it, whether you believe in any faith in the world, it's always going to come back to your inner self. So it's going to come back to you believing in your inner self and believing in love, life, and family, because those are the three components that puts us together as a human race, as a human being, in our family as well, and in ourselves. In my shamanic journey, going back to that, I had a lot of experiences with the paranormal activities around the house and outside of the house as well. At school, with other people around, there was different paranormal activities, such as noises happening. I would be studying in my room, and there would be voices calling my name. And I would answer to them often and say, "Yes, what did you say?" And I thought it would be, in the voice of my parents' voice, especially my mom's. And then it would call me, and just my name and nothing else. And I would say, "Yes, what'd you say?" And there would be no actual response. And I would look and see, my mother wasn't around, or she was away, farther away than how it sounded. So then I knew that it was something paranormal, something different. And when I was young, spirits and energy was like my life. I didn't see it as something, like new age, or I didn't see it as something new. It was just a part of my life. My grandmother was a shaman. My grandmother on the other side, my mom's side, was a shaman. My mom is also a shaman as well. And um, my whole family comes from a lineage of shamans. So, needless to say, my life was very shamanic, and it was no different to me. I saw no difference in it. As I look at it now, and I see so many clients, I've worked with over 2,000 clients, and some of them, it's this stuff, they call it this stuff, this new age stuff is new to them. So shamanic healing and readings or healings are new to them. Even psychic readings could be new to people as well, like their first experience or something like that. And I'd like to say that whether it's your first experience or your 100th experience, it all comes to, what do you believe in yourself, right? So what do you come to when it comes to a life and death situation? You always come back to the self, and it's in your inner self that you go and you ask questions about. Is this true? What happened? Why? And so all these questions go into your head, and then they go up into the universe. And I found that out as I became more of a shaman, as I accepted my role and my calling. And definitely, I do believe it was a calling, because I come from a very corporate, very professional corporate, also during my professional life. And so, very business-like, very corporate. But becoming shaman also helped me to balance my life in holistic. So, me in my mind, my spirit, my soul, and also my physicality. So always have to think and go back to love, life, and family, and not just segregated as a certain faith that I believe in. In this, I do know as a shaman that in my path, I had a lot of work to do with the karmic cycle. So the karmic energies, such as paying respect to ancestors, or talking to ancestors and making sure that we've got everything on the correct, and just correcting things that have been corrupted. So I like that. So correcting everything that has been corrupted, that I know of, or that I may learn of. So then that has helped me to go into my inner self, go into my meditations, and just be very unbiased. Because what I think is, as long as it's for the good and benevolent, then I'm good. And in my mindset, that's how I think. And so when I think that way, it helps the good to flow in, and it helps me to find myself again, to find my roots, to know my roots more purely, to go into my pure thought meditations, and then to take that and actually heal. So I do the psychic readings, and I also do the healings for people as well. In order to do a pure thought or a pure healing for someone, you must want to heal them. You must love them as a person, right? You must love yourself, and you must love to heal them. You must want and have a deep desire to heal them and make them better. Not just for the purpose of seeing a result come out, but for the purpose of that person actually getting better. All right? So in my shamanic journey, I had gone through the illnesses, I had gone through the paranormal activities. I had also gone through, as I was becoming a shaman, a master shaman, I had also gone through a lot of shunning. So, meaning there had been a lot of perceptions or judgments, right, against me, prejudging me, thinking that, wow, you're gonna be a shaman wearing white. Oh, wow, your headpiece, it looks different and weird, and so, or your outfit looks different and weird. And so I get that a lot from people, and whether they're whispering, or whether I'm hearing that in their head, or whether they have talked about it somewhere as a rumor or gossip, and it was not good, and it got around and through the grapevines, and then I hear from someone else that tells me that this person said that about me, or about my healing ways. And so it makes me saddened as well. But I also look at the bright side and say to myself, well, that person doesn't really know what I'm doing. And so they have a perception, and their perception might be totally off. And I would say, yes, it is totally off. But that is also for them to make to be the judge of that, if they were totally off or if it was true. But until they meet with me, until they get the healing from me, and until they know where PaLichee, or where this healing chi energy comes from, then they will not know, in fact, what it really means to heal, what it really means to go through that and become a shaman. I would also say that I had gone into the death hole and back. In the Hmong words is mu tolu khoto I madagat lo. And after going, that was the trigger of my shamanic journey. I knew that it was coming, and I knew that it would come someday at a young age. But I didn't know it was going to come in that shape and form that I went through. And it was a very traumatic experience that I had gone through at the age of 28 that has brought me to my shamanic journey and to help and heal others, as I would love to help and heal myself and my family as well. So that is some of the things that I had gone through in my shamanic journey. For those of you that are new to it or are going through it or have gone through it for so many years, but yet are not still, we call it, are not still seeing through the veil. So meaning you haven't seen through the veil, then I would say you have to keep at it, but also find the right resources, find the right sources to help you get through it. My sources were mostly from my pure thought energy, okay? From my pure thought meditations and my guides. But at the same time, you cannot get the pure thought meditations or guidance if you yourself aren't genuine. Does that make sense? So then you have to be genuine to yourself and to others in order to get this pure thought to flow through. And then that starts to flow through your guidance, that starts to flow through your healing and the results at the end of the day. And then your enlightenment starts to grow as you grow as a person spiritually as well. So my shamanic journey was a very tough one, going through so many things at the same time, illnesses at the same time, and then bypassing that at a certain when I was at a certain age, and then now having to deal with relationship issues after that point, and then making things work, meaning my shamanic life with my normal life, and those things also had to balance as well, and we had to work through that as well, myself, my spouse, my family. So I had to find ways of how to work that out, how to make one another understand and compromise why I had to go through what I was called to do on my duty. So I know that a lot of you also go through a lot of conflicts and resolutions, and the resolutions never come through because the conflicts doesn't get resolved, because you yourself does not understand what it is to be a shaman, or why you are being called to be a shaman, in fact. And so, or not even a shaman, a seer, a mystic, a psychic, an intuitive, medical intuitive, whatever you want to call it. But it is getting you into this intuition part of you, and that's also the spiritual part of you, and then so that you can understand life in a more holistic way. And that's all they're trying to do. But at the same time that they're doing that, these good benevolent guides, then there's also negative guides that are coming through. So then you're very mixed and very intertwined. So for those of you that are going through this, I feel for you, and I encourage you to get guidance on it. From a master sifu or higher level, and then this higher level must also connect with your guides as well, be able to connect with your guides and see them, know them, and understand them from their perspective and their views that they're coming from. I often will say that in my spiritual journey that I came through, I had a lot of different cultural teachings and a lot of different groups of nangs. We call it nangs or spirit guides, the benevolent spirit guides that come through. And then also very high or very high universe spirit guides as well that comes through. Those don't come through unless you are very pure at heart and genuine yourself. So then they have to always filter, or purification process starts to happen. And that can mean illnesses, that can mean you finding the right sifu or teacher to help you filter. And it also means a lot of initiations into the place that you need to go, that you're being called to by your guides. Now, for some of you, you are being chosen, and for some of you, you are being called. There is a difference between two, and I will talk about that more in a different video. But right now, I'm going to stop here, and warm blessings to all of you. And I hope that from this spiritual journey of mine, it helps you to understand your own journey as well, and helps you to encourage you to not be feeling like you're burdened by your spirit guides, but more so like you are blessed and in bliss by actually having them beside you and helping you. As long as you're doing the benevolent thing, the good thing, and for the good and for the human good, then I would be all in it with you. Warm blessings from Master Shaman PaLichee. Bye-bye.